Alrighty. All right. It's been a bit of a weird day. Okay, so I am going to go grab my computer and get set up and let you guys have a few minutes to get the notifications to join me, and I will be right back. Oh, nope, I'm here. Hi. I just had to run and go get my computer. I just wanted to get signed on as quick as possible today so that we could get rolling. Ah, there we go. Okay. All right, you guys, I've just, let me go grab, this one is, oh, Christine, good question. Neither, though. Neither. It's actually Pink Fresh. But I am excited to show you guys some of the stuff that I figured out this weekend when I was in my trade show. So, let me just go grab something to drink really quick, and then I will be right back because I think I'm gonna need it. Hang on one second. It's right here. That's why. Can't find my water because it's literally right here. I've already done it. Okay. Alrighty, my friends. So let's see. Jamie is here. Hi, Christine. Hi, Kip. Hi, Veronica. Okay, and I do see that a number of people have joined us, so, and I know we are at kind of a weird time today. I just had a couple people stop by, and even though the door was locked, then they, you know, they knock, so, because they figure I must be in here. So, it's just been a weird day all around. Just absolutely a weird day. I'm so glad it's Wine Friday, and I don't have any wine to drink. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I do. I'm gonna go get some. Hold on one second. It is that kind of day. Drinking by myself. Well, actually not by myself. I got you guys. Okay, do you guys remember that Wine Friday where we tried that, like, oh, hi Elizabeth. Hi Sue. Do you guys remember that Wine Friday where we tried that, like, it was like a blossom wine or something like that? Yeah, those are still in the back, but I'm not going, I can't go down that rabbit hole again, but I did pick this up at the same time. This one at least is from the Chateau Saint Michel. So this is all I got though, because normally my other half is the one that goes to get the, you know, wine part of Wine Friday. So we'll see how this goes. But it is, you know, some days are kind of like that. So we got a new box of memory box stuff, and I did not get that checked in. There's been a little bit of drama here today. So, but this came up in some discussions we had. I don't know that Suzette is on, but Suzette and I were chit-chatting about this, and so I decided I was going to show you guys this today because I found how much I actually love this Sizzix tool that we were talking about last week while I was in my virtual trade show this weekend. So, let me mute that. Okay, so a proper Wine Friday. And while we just wait for a couple more people, let me clean my stencils here really quick. Where's my cloth? Okay, so I'm just going to clean these stencils so that I have them to show you. And I'm going to just use some rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle. We've talked about this a few times. And just a soft cloth. Now, this piece of the stencil right there is pretty delicate, so I'm just going to gently wipe that so that I don't snag anything. And the reason I'm using alcohol is because I know that I'm going to want to use these here in just a few minutes, and the alcohol is going to have it clean and dry fairly quickly. Okay, so I'll just set that off to the side. I've got 3 of them to do here real quick, and then we will get started. Okay, does anybody know, is there a full moon out tonight? Hello, Vicky. Hello. So you guys, we are going to, as you guys know from Wednesday, it's just been a heck of a week. It just feels like the chaos just continues around here. So we had the virtual trade show for a couple days, which was fun. We did some really beautiful projects, mostly card projects, which is good. And then my other half had to leave so suddenly that it kind of has thrown things for a loop around here. And so I was going to try to get started kitting this week already, but that has not happened. So the Donna and Jana are going to come in tomorrow. Hopefully, that's the plan anyways, to help me get started with some of the kitting for the WOW and the Butter class. Because the products have come, but between the 2 classes, we have about 50 kits to make. So I do appreciate your guys' patience. I know that a number of you guys have checked in on the status of the kits, and I haven't had one for you yet as far as a new date. But we're going to try and get as much of that kitting done as possible. It's a lot to get done, and we weren't able to get it done before the boxes arrived because we needed stuff that was actually in the boxes. So that's on the plan, and fingers crossed those things should be ready to send out in just a few days. But Kits will not be ready for pickup tomorrow because we're going to be working on them tomorrow. So for the local people that are going to do pickups, we are going to be looking at probably next week at best. But then I will look at the schedule and see what kind of dates and that kind of stuff. So Tuesday the 7th. Oh, so not quite, huh? So I do appreciate your guys' patience, bearing with me. You know, there's not a whole lot of stuff I can control when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. Okay. So you guys, this is going to be a little bit, let's see. Okay. So what I wanted to show you guys today is I did a number of stamp and stencil cards with in the virtual trade show this weekend. And both of these, actually all three of these cards here are Pink Fresh cards. Okay, so these are done with the same stamp and stencil set, and then this one is done with a stamp, stencil, and die set. So I'm going to kind of talk you guys through a couple of the different things that I learned in, like, as I was going through, and why this tool is going to be a game changer. I'm going to walk you through sort of the process that I used, and I found that I have never had such absolute success with getting my stencils and stamps perfect. So anyways, let's talk about this. This was from another day I was showing somebody. Let me get a little bit of paper cut so that we actually have something to stamp and stencil on. That will be a good place to start, I think. Okay. And I don't know if is Judy here? I don't know if Judy's here. But Judy, I just wanted to say thank you for calling me and cheering me up a little bit ago. She just called in to check on me because it was a little bit of a rough morning. And I just want you to know that I greatly appreciate that. That just made me smile. And the joke she told me was funny. So, okay. But I think Judy is probably not on. I think she's going to watch this later. Okay. So we have two different sets here that I kind of want to talk about. And both of these sets are on order. So let's talk about, before we get started, there we go. Oh, all right. Let's talk about this set first, because this one is the easiest. Okay. So this set here is only a stamp and a stencil. So the stamp just looks like this, and then, you know, you have how many pieces are in this one? 5-piece stencil, okay? Now, what we did is we did this one basically two different ways, but it's the exact same concept that we're gonna go through. So, but with the different 5-piece stencils, you get a lot of color. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys, here's what surprised me. I looked at this stamp when we got it in our kit, and I was, meh. You know, I don't know. And then we did it. And I have to tell you, because of like how easy it was to get the color laid down and all that kind of stuff, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, you know what I didn't do ahead of time is I did not grab pricing. However, I can get that while we, oh, you are here. Good. Thank you, Judy. Yes, it did really make my afternoon. So thank you for that. So I can get the pricing as we go along, but I'm so excited to show you the technique. So that is one of them. And then the other one I have, I was going to say I misplaced the packaging, but I think I just found it. So this is the stamp set, and this, somehow I got that scratched off, but it says, holding you in my heart, always here for you. You are wonderful in every way. You are in my thoughts today. So some really nice sentiments. And actually, there's a couple of sentiments on here that are like sympathy-esque sentiments. So sometimes people are having you know, a time where you need to send them a card that isn't quite sympathy, but sort of, you know. And so You're in My Thoughts Today are always here for you. Really, really nice sentiments. And then that's the floral that this card makes. And then there's one of those sentiments. And then this stamp set also has a die and it has a set of stencils. So let's do, I don't know which one to do first. Which one? Okay. Let me see. I think these are, oh, wait, this isn't even it. This is the Ulta New one. Hold on. It has been really, like, kind of crazy. Okay. I was showing you that stencil set. Did any of you guys get to, did any of you guys even notice I wasn't even showing you the right stencil set? The one in the bag with no packaging, that's for Ulta New. I think I have that packaging somewhere too, but, okay, this is the stencil for the Pink Fresh one. Okay, so let me show you guys how fantastic this is. All right, so what's wonderful about this tool, because this is a stamp and stencil tool, what that means is that we get to do it all on the same platform. Now, what I love about this is not the same technique for stamping and stenciling that you would use if you had the Misty or, you know, one of the other types like that, because the Misty has the edges, so you're not going to be able to do the stenciling and the magnets and all that kind of stuff. But here is the other really, really cool thing about this technique is that a lot of times when we have done these stencils, and I didn't use the black paint on these, but you know they have these registration marks. So some of these stencils have registration marks where they're just etched in. Some have them where they're cut in and you have to ink them so that you can line them up. Anyways, for this technique, we don't have to use that at all. So I'm going to just put these back in order. Okay, and here we go. All right, so I've got myself an A2 panel right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my stamped image, okay? And all of these cards I did with the Pink Fresh inks. So what's fun about this is when you're doing it and using the registration marks, you need the stamp and the stencil to line up, right, going the same direction. So typically what you'll do is you will stencil first and then you line up your stamp and stamp it, okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to just put this however it is that I want it on here, and it really doesn't matter. So for the card that I did, which is right here, we ended up using the die, so it really doesn't matter. But if I wanted to use this as a whole pattern, then it might, okay? So but for now, I think that looks good. So I'm going to just take this, hang on, and I'm going to pick it up. So none of this is new to you guys, right? But one of the great things here is that we don't have any magnets. So we don't have any magnets in the way. Now, the very first step that we're going to do is eventually, for our final image, we're going to stamp and emboss, okay? But I'm not going to stamp my first image with the VersaFine Clair. This is the ink pad that I know I want as my finishing black, but it does take a little bit of time to dry. So let me move this just a little bit closer here so that I can get a better angle and you guys aren't missing anything. But it does take a little bit of time to dry. So my very first stamped image, I'm going to pick a dye ink. So this is just a dye ink, not a hybrid ink, doesn't do anything other than be a dye ink, okay? I'm gonna pick a very light color. Now you could pick really any of the light colors, but gray is kind of a nice one because it gives you that neutral color that ends up pretty much just disappearing. So I know that for a lot of you guys that have the Pink Fresh inks, you may not necessarily have this one yet. Another one that would work if you have it is the Warm Buff, but really, really enjoyed using the Misty Coast for this one because that's their lightest gray. Now, the thing about a dye ink is that it is meant to go on the paper and then you give it a minute or two and it is meant to dye the paper, just like, you know, dye for your hair, different type of dye. But so when you are blending and stamping with these inks, a lot of times you need to give them just a little bit of time for them to dye, to like blend into the paper and set, okay? So it may not look perfect right out of the gate, but it is going to look pretty perfect. So, you could try it with Lost Shadow, but Lost Shadow, you know, it's got a lot of blendable properties and things like that. And you just want to make sure that at this next stage, it is not going to move. So, I am not going to be drying this at this stage because I know that this ink works because I've already done it all weekend. But Lost Shadow, you might need to dry that one at this stage because those ones are designed so that the resins in the ink stay wet for a little bit longer for blendability, even if it doesn't feel wet to the touch. So, but try it, right? When in doubt, try it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to grab one of our stencils. And I'm thinking this time, let's see, what color would you guys like to see this? So you guys tell me what color series you would like me to do with this flower for both floral and leaves. Pick some colors, go off the chain, it doesn't really matter. We're just having some fun today. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, this is where I'm loving this. Because I have stamped it, if I want to have this out of the way for the next stage, all I have to do is take the lid off. I'm going to be able to put that lid right back on at the end. Now I just have a stencil surface. So I'm going to take my stencil and I'm just going to rotate it until I can see those lines are perfectly lining up, okay? And it's a little bit easier to do when the camera is not right over the top of the stencil. Hold on one second. Because then you have a little bit better of an angle. And you can be as fussy about this as you want to. I guess it just kind of depends on your personality. Sometimes mine is a bit fussy. Okay. So, and then with this tool, you don't even have to tape this guy down because those little edges will stick to your sticky grid, okay? So, did you guys pick some colors? We want purple, okay. Okay, so let's go with purple. And let me grab out my purple brush. And I just need to clean it, make sure that it is not got some crazy inks in it. Okay. All right. So what I like to do, especially when we are running this for the first time, and now I have a finished card, so I kind of, you know where we're going, but it's nice to take the packaging that comes with the stencil, and now that this is stencil number 1, so if you look at the image, the first time I work with any of these kind of images, I like to kind of run through what the packaging shows so that I know which parts and pieces go where and that kind of thing. So this one, it's funny because usually we do a stencil number 1 with more, more surface area, but this one has just a little bit. But if you look, it's got the lightest color. So we are going to grab the soft lilac, okay, and having that sticky grid means that my pad is going to stay right here, which is fantastic. And then I'm going to just do a quick stencil right on here. Okay. And stencil 1 is done. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So you can kind of see a little bit in here that some of those areas are, dark around the edges and blending and, blotchy just a little bit. You don't have to really worry about that with these inks, because as you give them a little bit of time to soak into the paper, those inks will blend and soften and smooth. So when you look at these, I mean, look at how ridiculously smooth that color is. I mean, it is phenomenal. So I'm a huge fan of these Pink Fresh inks because of the way that they come in the color families and they blend like that. So while we do that, I'm going to just give this one a quick spray and a wipe so that it is clean and ready to go for the next project. And then we're going to grab, let's see, oops, hello. We're going to grab stencil number 2. Now, again, we don't really have to worry about lining anything up except for with that stamped image, which is a little bit different of an angle with the camera, but I think that looks pretty good. Okay. And then we're going to take the next purple. Now, this particular flower only has 3 purples. So we did the lightest one, and then you can kind of choose which ones you want to go next. So again, for that kind of a thing, I just sort of look here and I think, okay, we've got the soft lilac as the middle, but I think I want this purple as my main color because it is so pretty. So I'm going to go with this purple as stencil 2 and this purple as stencil 3. So let's go with lavender. Okay. Now for this one, you just want to be kind of careful because this is where a little bit of pixie spray might have been a great idea. But again, I didn't do that. So we're just going to go for it. Now, because I know this piece isn't attached and I need to just be kind of careful, I'm going to just hold that a little bit with my finger. Pixie spray, again, would have been a much, much better idea. But this will get us through, I think, what we need to get through. Okay, and then, okay, so I'm going to take that one off. I'm going to stick it off to the side, just give it a quick spray, and that one's clean. Okay, and then we're going to grab stencil number 3. And so again, this is just a visual lineup. So it really, as long as that stuff is just within, those lines, it's going to be perfect. So I'm just lining it up here, making sure that all that purple is somewhere in there. I'm going to stick it down. And we're just going to stencil this darker color. Now, the thing also with dye inks is that they're going to lighten a little bit, lighten and smooth out as they dry. Okay, so it looks really dark, and you know what, it is, but it'll lighten up a little bit. Okay, all right, so there's our purple. Fantastic. Look at that. Amazing. I will get that information. $11.99 for the set of 4. Hi, Jennifer. Is the Pink Fresh inks. I think that is, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the, let me just see. Let me find the one I just pulled this weekend. Oh, didn't have a price. I think that's the price though. I can confirm that for you, Vicki, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, so now we're done with stencil number 3. So what do you guys think about for the leaves? Should we go with, you want to go with, we only need 2 colors for leaves. What do you guys think? Something fun and different. And not green, and I'll show you why not green. This is my green brush. I did this over the trade show. I was like, oh my goodness. So I've never really seen that happen, but I think mine had a little bit of a bubble right in here. So I'm short on green brushes at the moment. So we're gonna have to pick a color that isn't green. We could go with, I would say we could go with yellow, but I quite frankly don't see where I put it on the table. So what do you guys think about gray, teal, blue, teal? Teal. Okay, teal it is. All right, so next up we're gonna go with this one. And we've got 2 stencils here. So we can just pick, again, we're gonna take a look at this guy here. And so just for color reference, we have a pretty bold floral, but we want our leaves to, you know, be bold as well, because they really are, you know, a good portion of the floral as well. So what about if we did, let's see, what if we did this color, aquamarine and tidal pond? That sounds good. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my teal brush. I'm gonna give this one a quick clean on a baby wipe over here, just so I make sure that we don't have like tons and tons and tons of ink in there as a surprise. So with these ones and this kind of a technique, I really like to start with the lightest ink first, because then I can just build on that ink and I don't really even have to clean my brush in between. I just have to clean my brush at the beginning so that I know that the last time I built the ink up, that it isn't going to be, you know, surprising me with a really dark color. Okay, so I'm gonna pull out the aquamarine and the tidal pond. But one of the things you guys will notice too is that, and this is one thing, you know, Jamie, you were mentioning Lost Shadow, and I don't know if Lost Shadow is even as dark as this. I can't remember, but I remember it was really, really light. So one of the things that you need is you need a neutral that you can actually see, you know, through the stencils. So I'm on stencil number 4 right now. And I'm going to, again, just line this up. Okay. Sorry, you guys, I got to get my head in here. Right there, and that looks pretty good. It's hard with the camera because I don't have quite the angle that I'm used to, but I think... Okay, so I'm gonna go with my lightest teal, and we're just going to pop this down. Okay. And you notice I'm not really even being too cautious about this. You can put as much ink as you want, but I want it to be vibrant but not super dark, so I think that looks good to me. And you know, it again is going to even out a little bit as the inks take the time to actually dye that paper. So let me pop this over here, put a little bit of alcohol spray on it, and we're going to call it good. So that one's all clean, set it off to the side. Now we are on the last stencil. So this one, we just kind of line it up. Now with this particular one, we only have one little section that is not inked at all. So we just need to make sure that one gets properly aligned. And then all of the others can be, you know, a little bit more fluid as long as they kind of match up and are within the green, okay? So that sort of becomes your pivot point. I gotta pull this a little closer so that I have the angle that I need. And I'm just gonna kind of move it around so that I get it in position, okay? And then we're gonna grab our tidal pond. And this is the dark one. So we're gonna come in with some beautiful dark teal. And call that good. Okay. All right. So now we've got this beauty, right? Everything looks amazing. And just to save myself from having to do it later, I'm going to clean my stencil, set it off to the side. Okay. So now we have, this is where just a little, this is just a little bit, because we have two different types of heat tools. We have a drying heat tool and we have an embossing heat tool. I'm going to use the drying heat tool because it has a little bit more of a diffused heat, okay? And I really don't want to heat my platform. I just want to get a little bit of air on here to kind of, you know, dry this off and get it to kind of smooth down. So you'll notice that I'm not really heating this so much as putting some air on it, okay? Because I don't want to melt my platform, but I definitely want this guy to be dry. And you guys can already see and what I tend to do, like when I was crafting for the thing, if you can just set this, let it dry, you know, have 10 minutes or so to just dry and set on its own, that's the very best for those dies to really kind of work their magic. But I don't have that. Nobody wants to see that. And I'm going to need this platform for something else. So we're going to move on. So I think that's probably good. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my anti-static tool and just, you don't want to do a ton because I don't actually want very much of that powder on my sticky grid, okay? So just a little bit, and then, that was even a little too much, but that's okay. All right, so now we are going to reattach the lid, and by reattaching the lid, our stamp is exactly in the same spot that it was before when we stamped the gray. So what this means is, typically the way that we've had to do this is we've had to line our panel up, say in a corner or with one of the grids or something like that. And then when we go to stamp it, even if you did this two kind of stamping thing, it may or may not have been perfect. But because we did not move our image, it is perfect for where this stamp is gonna line up. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of my clear gloss and I'm gonna grab my VersaFine Clair. So this is a pigment ink. This is a fast drying pigment ink. We've used this for a long time. This is really, I know this is the favorite ink of a lot of us. You could, yeah, you could, Jamie. So this is it dries pretty quick, but because it's a pigment ink, we can also emboss with it, okay? So that's what we're gonna do at this next stage. You don't necessarily have to, you could just stamp it and be done. But what I wanna do is I'm gonna just put some on and Voila. Okay. So it's pretty much perfect. But because I'm going to be doing the embossing, I am going to come back with one more layer of black just to make sure that I have that nice black outline there. Okay. And now I can see that it's kind of shiny in the middle. I love that. Let's move this guy out of the way so that I don't accidentally get embossing powder on it. Same with this one. And we are going to just put some embossing powder on here. Okay, so now I am going to get out my embossing heat gun. Going to let it heat for a minute. And so what I'm actually noticing is that I could have dried it just a little bit longer. It is actually sticking to some of the inks, like in where we did the second layer of inks, but that's okay. It's not sticking to the purple because the purple had enough time to dry. But the green probably needed just a little bit longer, but it's okay. I'm just gonna kind of move on because you guys will get the idea, okay? And the beauty of using the clear is that you don't really see that extra powder if it does happen to get in, you know, errant areas. All right, so look at that. Now I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, there is still a little bit of clear, but that's okay. But look at how absolutely 100% perfect that outline and the layered stencil is, because we didn't have to move it at all. So we could line up our stencil and have it color exactly where we wanted to. So with the way, say, like the Misty works, and I've used the Misty for this for a long time, and that's why I was really excited at how much of an improvement this was, this tool, because with the Misty, because of the edges that are around it, you can't do the stenciling as effectively in there. And also because when you do, a lot of times when you'll stamp a panel, you'll put it down in the bottom corner to line it up, or somewhere, you know, along there. But that also means that if you have any of the stamp that's overhanging, you can't put it in the corner, and sometimes you don't get it lined up as perfect. This way it will be lined up perfect every single time because we didn't move it. Okay, I am so in love with it. I am so in love with it. I am so in love with it. Okay, so we did this one, and then there is a little die. So let me just grab that guy real quick, and then we'll die cut it and grab the machine. Okay. I know, right, Christine? I agree. I agree. I am loving this. Okay. So okay, that looks pretty good. I tend to take quite a bit of time to line up my dies, but you know, while we're live, I'm not going to necessarily do that. We're just going to kind of move on. Okay, so we have this beauty. Oh my gosh, you guys, are you loving that as much as I am? Great color choices. Good color choices. All right, so now I want to talk about how we just finished that card. But I do want to go, I'm going to try to do the other one too for you, because I think I can do it on super speed, okay? So give me just a second to clean things. I don't have to do quite as much, you know, slowing down and talking, because now you guys know the technique. So we're going to just try and whiz through the next one, if that's a thing. Okay. Oops, I don't know if I should have done that, but okay. Are you guys like me? Do you lose that little plastic topper piece all the time? Like all the time. I lose it all the time. It's so clear. All right. So this set of, okay, I love it too. So this set of dies from Pink Fresh actually does have that magnet sheet in there as well. I love it when they put that in there. That's like a little bit of an added value for storage. I guess I'll just have to find that piece here in a minute. Now, let's just quickly talk about finishing this card and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay. Okay, so what we did then is we have our floral that we just did, okay? And you can see, actually, you guys can see already that the inks are starting to smooth out quite a bit. So, you know, that heat really helped, but it could be, yeah, I mean, because it wasn't really dry until we melted it. Now it probably is really dry. But, so you can see, like, see that? How smooth and beautiful that is? Awesome. Okay, so what we did then is we took a panel, and this is actually that lace stencil from Hero Arts that is new. The one that we used when we were playing with their new black cotton watercolor paper. So this is that stencil, and I just did it in 2 colors that I used on the thing, 1 on each corner. And then this die here is the blanket stitch, but it cuts, you get a pattern on both sides of the oval when it cuts. So we just used the smallest one here, embossed and stamped, embossed, and die cut out the sentiment. And really that's it. So we just kind of lined the flower up down at the bottom. I placed it, before I did the cutting, I made sure that I had enough room for the words and then cut it. And this is still just 1 floral. So you get this beautiful dynamic card just by doing that 1 floral. And it is fast, fast, fast. Okay. Now, the next one we're going to do is, because when we originally brought out this tool to play with the very first day, I think it was Jan asked us, how does it do with rubber? And so the first one we did was clear, and this one is rubber. So let me grab another card panel here. And so just because I tended to, my whole show, I tended to do this right in the middle, and I don't think I found that I had any issues with that. So I'm going to just, it doesn't even have to be lined up because of the way that we are doing this, okay? So we're gonna just take our stamp, and you just wanna make sure that the stamp, it doesn't even have to be centered, right? You just wanna make sure that the stamp itself is actually on all the paper. We're going to go over and pick it up, grab our gray, and where did my tool go? There we go. And again, it does not have to be perfect. I do need a little bit more there in the middle so that I can kind of see. But again, it really isn't going to matter because as long as I can line it up with any of the florals in the image, it should be just fine. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. I'm going to take this guy off, put it out of the way so that I don't have to deal with it. And then we're going to just grab a handful of colors. Should we maybe try and do, where is my yellow? Did I actually put one set of colors away, but only one? That's so weird. That is just really weird. That doesn't seem like something I would do. Well, no, that's not true. That seems exactly like something I would do. I really want the yellow set. Hang on one sec. I feel like I might have put it away. Oh, here it is. Just buried. Okay. So let's do this. Let's try and do a purple, a teal, because we have the purple and the teal, and we already know we like those colors, right? So let's try and do a purple and a teal with yellow, Sound good? Okay, so again, this one is 5 pieces. So they should be in order if I put them away correctly. I did. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of move these around. And because I may or may not have stamped the stamp right side up or otherwise, I just need to make sure that I get this guy lined up, okay? So this first layer is going to be a nice soft blue, or a nice soft purple. But let's go with, where did my one go? Isn't it crazy? It's like you don't even move anywhere and then stuff just disappears. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I think for this one, let's go with do you guys like those 2 dark colors there, or should we try a little bit more of a pink purple? Let's see. I think I like these 2. Let's go with these 2. Okay. Now I know that darkest color of purple is still in my brush, but not too much, so I'm just gonna give that a quick brush off. We're gonna go with lavender. Okay. And I love this because I'm not being very, very careful. I mean, I could be, but I'm trying to get this in as a bonus one for us. So we're going to just go as quickly. Oops. Let's ignore the fact that I just did that. But it's easy to line it up. Okay. All right. And get stuff out of the way. Okay, and we're gonna pause to drink for just one moment because, you know, it's Wine Friday, right? Okay, next up, we are going to take stencil number 2, and stencil number 2, you can see when you line it up, this kind of is what helps you just guide your color choice as you go along. So you can look at your image, but you can also just kind of use the spaces that the stencil gives you to dictate what your color choice is going to be. Okay, so Next up, I'm going to use, let's go with lemon whip and sweet mustard. So I'll grab my yellow brush. My yellow brush tends to get kind of abused because it's the lightest one in the thing, and I don't really clean my brushes. I just throw them into a bag. So my yellow brush is not always super, super yellow. So I'm gonna just give it a quick clean with a baby wipe and a paper towel, and we're gonna call that good. Okay. All right, there it is. And we're already down on the second one. So when we do these virtual trade shows, they give us a project, and then for this particular one, different ones are different ways, but a lot of times we have a project from a company and then we have a make and take. So we actually had 2 make and takes from Pink Fresh with this stamp, which is why I have 2. And then the bigger one that we did first, that one was the one that we did as the actual project. So, but what's interesting is as we go along, you see just how quickly this comes together. So again, because we have that stamped image, lining this up becomes so much more easy than it ever was before, okay? And it's definitely much easier when you don't have a camera in the way, but okay. So now we can see when we look at this by what goes over the pansy that this next one is gonna be our darker purple. So this one is called Regal Kiss. And I'm gonna just kind of brush this on really quick. I love this color. It is like it looks like, holy cow, I just did what to my project? But by the time it settles in with the purple, it's just stunning. The color is just gorgeous. So, all right. I'm gonna take that one off, do a quick spritz on it. And just quick clean. Now we're on to Stencil 5. And when we put Stencil 5 on, this is where we start to see nope, we're on Stencil 4, sorry. This is where we're gonna see, okay, look at that. We're gonna fill in the foliage. So we're just gonna line this one up again. Okay. Actually, I can do a little bit better than that. Hold on, I gotta stand. Hang on one sec. So what I'm looking at is, so this angle right here, so I want this particular one to be lined up, but I need a pivot point down at the bottom as well, okay? So you just kind of move it back and forth until you get it lined up to where it looks like it'll be good. Okay, so now for these ones, we're gonna use the teals. And I think, you guys, we were pretty happy with the teals on this one. Do we want some lighter leaves on this, or should we go just as bold? Let's go just as bold. We already picked those colors. Okay, last time, I used the darker color, so let me just get a little bit of it out and clean my brush. Okay, we're using Aquamarine first, which is the lighter color. Okay. And there we go. Okay, and now we have our last stencil. This is the only one of this whole one that is just a little bit tricky, that you want to kind of just take a moment and go a little bit slower, okay? So this is the one where if you have a smaller set of brushes, you'll want to bring them out. And actually for the other flowers, as we were going along, if you wanted to give it even more color, which we did with this one, okay? So on here you can see we did purple and purple for that flower. But when I did this one, we did pink and we did red. So we did a whole different set of colors. So a smaller set of brushes is going to be really, really helpful if you want to get even more color into your design. But for today, I don't know if they're sitting. I think I probably put those away. So hopefully this is lined up pretty good. Okay. So here's the thing. What we're looking for is, with this particular one, we have green that's going to go for all of the leaves, right? And then all of these little dots, that's where the yellow goes. So let me go grab my littlest brushes. And you can do this with the bigger brush at this stage. If you want to, you just could mask those little ones or something like that. I could also come in with a different color than a yellow. I could come in with an orange, if I wanted. Actually, I'm going to come in with a marigold because I think that'll stand out a little bit more for you guys to see. Okay, so first off, I'm going to just try to hit just those little dots. Okay, and what I noticed is, based on how this stencil comes together, this one here has a dot in the purple, okay? So I'm going to just take a second and figure out what color we want to do with that. We may just want to add like a dark purple, because the yellow and on top of that one isn't going to really work quite as well. So I think what I'll do is just take just a little bit of the purple and put it right in that hole. Okay, so now I want to get a nice teal on this layer of foliage. So I'm going to grab my teal brush, but before I get too far in this, I'm going to just take my cloth here and wipe. You don't have to wipe a ton off. I'm just going to wipe a little bit of that excess yellow, because it's going to make my dark teal a little bit more yellow than I may want. And the nice thing about yellow and teal is they're not going to produce a color that is unattractive. So you're okay if you don't do this step. But it just gives you a little bit more element of control. Oops. And then you want to avoid that dot, which I just took all that time to do. Oh, the joys of ADD. My mind was already somewhere else. Oh well, it's okay. All right. No big deal. Only you guys that are watching this video will even notice. And had I kept my mouth shut, maybe nobody would even notice. But, you know, where's the fun in that, right? Okay. Nope, see, and I almost did it again. I gotta pay attention. It's the end of the day, and sometimes this is not the best time for me to be, like, detail crafting, but... Okay. So now that guy, oh my gosh, you guys, how beautiful is that? Wow. Look at that. Okay. So now is when you get to decide what you want for the finishing touch, right? So do we want to stamp in black and finish it off that way? Or do we want to stamp, and it would be gorgeous if we like stamped and embossed in a silver. Oh my goodness, that would be stunning. Maybe we will do that. But if we're going to stamp and emboss in a silver, we have to do a better job of drying it than we did on the last one. Because the last one, when we have a few errant colors, oops, did this just literally unplug? That's weird. Yeah. When we had a few errant powder granules, it didn't make any difference, right? But this time, if we do, because we would have silver, it absolutely will make a difference. It cannot be unseen. I know, look at that. But you know what's great? Gems. Gems save everything. Look, oh my God, you guys, I was crazy. I did it multiple times. It's actually... I know, it's because I'm like talking and crafting, so then, you know, your mind is half on what you're talking about and half on what you're doing, so whatever, it's okay. No biggie. All of those look like they're perfectly sized for those little Spellbinders gems anyways, so... Okay. I'm just making sure that this guy is not getting hot, because I don't want to melt my tool. And this is, again, this guy is not heat resistant, right? So I'm just trying to be careful, because I do need it to dry, but I don't necessarily want to melt it. I mean, that would suck. So let me go grab my silver and some embossing ink. Okay, so again, I'm going to put a little bit of this powder on here. We did do it drying, but I just want to make sure that we get it nice and, you know, Oh, look, I just found it. Haha, yay. Oh, wait, was this for the big one? Oh, shoot, now I don't know which one this was for. Okay, I'll set it right there and I'll lose it again. All right, now we are going to put our top back on. I'm going to make sure I don't have any of that gray on there still, which I think I took off, but I can't remember now, so we're just going to give it a quick. I'm going to use my Wow embossing ink because, one, it's my favorite, and two, it is a slow drying ink. So that's going to give me a little bit of extra time, which I can always appreciate. Gives me some time to be more of a perfectionist if I want to be. Okay. Oops. that. I'm going to do this a couple times just because it is a big stamp, right? So, and with clear ink, sometimes it's a little bit tough to see. Now, I can see that I did get a little bit off in some of my stenciling. That more has to do with the angle because of the camera and I was hurrying than it does with the technique, because when I was doing it without the camera, then my lineup was totally perfect. But I don't think it's any big deal. So you'll just have to bear with the slight imperfection, even though I was just telling you that this is like a way to make it absolutely perfect. Okay, so I think that's probably pretty substantial for this guy. And then I'm going to peel it off. And the ink that I'm going to use, or the embossing powder that I'm going to use, for those of you guys that are in the WOW class, and I know there's a lot of you guys, I'm going to use the polished silver. This is a stunning silver. Because it is very shiny. You know what, you guys? We did not get we did not get it all off, but that's okay. It's because I'm rushing. But I think you'll get the idea. Some of those leaves are going to be very silver, it looks like. But I already took it off, so no big deal. Yep, I didn't do a great job of drying it. Oh well. Well, it is what it is now, right? Okay. You know, when I was doing it this weekend, I actually just set them aside and came back to it because I was in the middle of classes. So I would recommend that you give it a little bit longer to dry than we did today, because this did not work out perfect for getting it just on the lines. But it's okay. You guys will get to see, I think. You get to see enough. But there's a lot of silver everywhere. So actually, I don't really hate it. That's fun. I'll show you guys here in just a second. A close-up. So what I'm watching what happened, and the very last color that we did, that green, it was such a dark color that seems to be the color that is holding on to more of the powder. So, you know, it is what it is. But actually, I don't know that I super hate it. It's not as perfect as the other ones. You can see it's got a little bit in there. But as you tilt it, some of the leaves then have a little bit of a silver metallic. But where it didn't do that, you can see how stunning and beautiful that is. So this silver is more of like a chrome silver. So I think for those of you guys, especially that are in class, you're going to get so much use out of this one. And then the gold that I know a lot of you guys are getting also with your kit is this gold. And this was the first time that I used it, but oh my gosh, it is amazing. Look at how, yeah, it's better than horrible, right? Look at how stunningly shiny that is. So yeah, I don't actually hate it. And by the time, what we did like on this one here is we used those ovals to cut a sentiment. So you could easily just cut your sentiment and cover whatever part that you didn't want to use. So, but you can see how much cleaner when you give yourself a little bit more time to dry, how much cleaner that sample is. But you guys, I love this color scheme that we came up with. That is absolutely gorgeous. I think the only thing I would change the next time is instead of the lightest yellow, I think I would move up to Sunshine for the yellow and have that be just a little bit brighter. That's what I would change. So anyways, you guys, I wanted to show you because I think this new Sizzix tool is a game changer for, it is a game changer for these stamps and stencils. Oh my goodness. I also discovered a way to make layering stamps come out perfectly as well, but we'll have to do that obviously on another day. So anyways, I was going to tell you guys about the bundles. Let me see here, because I know a few people have asked me about it when they were looking at our samples. So let me give you some pricing really quick. Okay, so this is assuming that I can find the packaging for everything. Okay, so this one is, we need the stencil for this one. Okay. Okay, so this bundle that will include the rubber stamp and the layering stencil, this bundle is $32. That has some bundle pricing on it, but I better write it down because I probably won't remember later. Can somebody just put that in the comments? The mixed bloom stamp and stencil is $32. Then I can find it later. And then the, what is this one called? I think this one is called Wonderful in Every Way. Okay. Oh, all right. So, and then this one, stamp, stencil, and die for this one. Let me see if I can find something to, I don't know where all the backings are. Let me just do that so that you can see it a little bit better. That's not very helpful either. Let me do this. Is that helpful? Okay, so this one is, give me 1 second. Okay, so $49 for the 3 pieces of this one has, that has some bundle discounting on it. Now, if, for my hot foil people, this one actually has a hot foil as well, and that guy is $20. So if you would like the hot foil for this one. Now, I think Suzette, are you still on here, Suzette? We were talking about how you would go about getting this to perfectly line up with the hot foil. So what you would want to do when you're doing a hot foil and the stencils is hot foil first, and then that hot foil is going to resist the inks, but it gives you the same way to line up the stencils that light gray ink did. So I know we were kind of chit-chatting about it today, and I was kind of trying to tell you, but I didn't really have any way to show you an example. But basically, if you hot foil first and then line the stencils up with that hot foil, it'll be perfect every time, just like it was with the light gray ink when we stamped it. And then this guy here, because I know I had a couple people ask about this one earlier as well. Let's see. Okay, and so then this one is $15. So hopefully, Suzette, that answered your questions. The thing with, is she still here? I don't know if she is. Thank you guys for putting those notes in. So the thing with trying to hot foil afterwards is, it's one thing if you have the stamped image and then you're going to stamp a clear stamp over the top of it. You can kind of pretty much line it up pretty well, okay? But you are not going to be able to line up either a hot foil plate or a rubber stamp as effectively because you can't see the design through it. You can only see like the edges and where all of the edges line up if you're kind of like looking, you know, from the sides and stuff. So the very best way is to do that stuff first and then do the stencils over the top like we just did, and it will be stunning. So, and then the other thing, I know Vicky asked a question, so let me just double check this really quick. Okay, yep. So the stamps, the mini inks that we use today they're $11.99, and there are quite a few different colors. We have this green is one of my favorites, and I know I've already reordered this one, so this one should be back in here shortly because that was the green set that I used for this really vibrant one. Okay, this is called Indian Summer. I don't know if that seems right. I think I put that in the wrong case. Nope. Yep, I did. Okay. This one is called Over the Hills. This one, orange, is called Indian Summer. Red is called Heartbeat. The teal that we use today is Island Oasis. The pink, which I used on this one, which is gorgeous, is called Fairy Dust. And the original version of that poppy card we did in these two colors. That's why they got mixed up, probably because they were both empty. So Indian Summer and Over the Hills is the color scheme that we used for this one. I'm also going to look into getting a large ink pad for Misty Coast because I think that this one has enough uses with all of the stamps and stencils out there that having a large pad is just going to make life easier for doing this technique. And so if you guys want a large pad of the Misty Coast, let me know so that I can make sure we get enough ordered, because I might have to order those ones direct. And then we've got another green. This one is, so when you look, this one has an olive color, and this one is a little bit more of, you know, like a green teal, kind of a mix between the two. And so that one is called Garden Stroll. And then you also have two blues. You have Morning Sky and you have Starry Night. And then you have the grays, which is Urban Raincoat, and the browns, which are Wild Truffle, but, you know, browns and grays, you could call it that too. So if you guys want any of those, we do have a number of these in stock, but I've just ordered a number of them more that we were out of stock, because I think for this kind of a project, these really are a winning set of inks because of the way that they blend, and you've got the color families. Okay, my friends, that is what I had to show you guys today. Let's see. If you've inked, the foil will adhere anywhere that is inked. That's why you foil first. When you're hot foiling, it will, or when you're laminator foiling. You know, I haven't actually tried that necessarily, but I do know that it's really hard to line it up because you can't see it. So, but I think that once you kind of get rolling with this, there's lots of ways. You learn kind of what works for you and what doesn't. But I have to tell you guys, I felt like I was such a rock star this weekend with that stamp and stencil tool, because it just made things so easy. The only times I had to start over is when I didn't get my inks right, which was because you can see I already put these guys in the wrong boxes. I actually had a couple of these inks with the wrong lids on them as well. So I will tell you guys this. I would also take your inks and label with a Sharpie, label the bottoms. Even if you just have like, a little letter or couple of little letters for the thing, because the bottoms of these are not labeled. And I did switch my lids, which then meant that when I was starting my orange poppy, it was backwards. And then I did it again because I thought I'd fixed the lids and I hadn't. So I had to actually start the poppy like 3 times. But, it's okay. It's only paper, right? Anyways, you guys, the ink sets are $11.99. For the set. So actually it's a great price, because It is only $3 an ink pad, an ink cube, which is pretty great. Even the Distress Minis have gone up, so they're a little bit more than that. So I think they're a really, really well-priced ink, and for what, you know, what kind of effects you get and the color families, love it. Love it, love it. So anyways, you guys, thank you. I know we started a little late, and I probably waffled on a little long, but I was so excited to show you guys how awesome this tool is for even more than we talked about last week. So thank you. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.